Okay, hi everyone. We're going to start this panel. So good afternoon. My name is HQ Han. I currently lead the Wharton Fintech Club on campus. So this is the second year that we are doing the blockchain conference because we founded the club only last year. And so this year we wanted to introduce a more international dimension to the conference. So as you can see, there is a spotlight on China panel right now, which is different from last year. We thought it would be useful to have a spotlight on China given the curiosity around what is happening in Asia and that it could make for a very special discussion. So we partnered with the Penn Wharton China Center. Zoe is here today from there as well, and they helped to leverage our connections in China to put together this very illustrious panel. So I'd like to briefly introduce our panelists today before we dive into it. So first of all, we have Mr. Han Feng, also known as Sunny. He is the co-founder of the Elastos Foundation, which is the first completely safe and decentralized infrastructure for the internet. Mr. Han is also founder of MIT Blockchain Pillar, lecturer of Tsinghua University Cyber Smart Economics and Blockchain course, and Secretary General of the Distributed Autonomous Coalition of Asia Association. Next, we have Adam Cole-Jacobs, who is the co-founder of Bitsdaq and also the co-founder of Spend.com. Bitsdaq Exchange is a digital asset trading platform operating in Asia, built on Bittrex's cutting-edge trading technology. Adam is also a special advisor to the co-founder of Ethereum, Anthony Dioro. He also sits on the board of directors for Noble, which is a tech company based in Toronto, focused on disrupting the real estate industry. And last but not least, we have as moderator, Professor Huining Cao. Professor Cao is chair of the finance department at Changjiang Graduate School of Business. On top of his academic pursuits, he is the founder and CEO of Usechain, which is the first mirror identity blockchain whereby users' private information can be integrated with blockchain technology without having their privacy or security being compromised. So with that, I'll let the panel take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll start. I think, China and the US are playing very important roles in the world right now, and especially in the blockchain area. You can see the top 20 cryptocurrencies, China-based blockchains and US-based cryptocurrency occupies more than 51% of the cryptocurrency there. You have Tron, Neo, Ontology, Quantum, or BNB, all up there. So I think that's really happy to be here at Wharton. I was here 24 years ago, and but now it's back to be at Wharton. It's really like this place. But right now, a problem with blockchain is it's been around for 10 years. We don't really have any killer apps, except blockchain can be viewed as digital gold that can be used as storage of value there. So what's the future lies? My view is that the completely decentralized blockchain may not have lots of applications. Its application will be limited. In the future, we probably can see a something in between, the applications will be a little bit more centralized. However, the inventory or the information that's in the flow will be centralized, but the inventory information or the records will be decentralized. This way you can have the benefits of both worlds. You have very good speed, efficiency, but at the same time, the records will still be decentralized. So you still have security and anonymity. So I feel that in the future we will a combination of both. There I view that this will have tremendous applications in financial intermediation, because I'm a finance professor. I view that right now Wall Street is oligopoly, and many you have Goldman Sachs, you have Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan's. They collude with each other and increase the transaction costs. With the blockchain, I think we can greatly reduce the financial intermediation. And in fact, we have Usechain. Our goal is to initially we want to get rid of Wall Street, but that's unlikely, right? The disruptive technology it takes time to build, but I think there's a role for blockchain to at least significantly reduce the intermediation cost. So with that as a background, I want to bring us to China and the Asian market. In the outset, the Bitcoin has jumped to about $20,000 and dropped to almost $3,000. Many people lost money. From the peak to the bottom, it's about 85% loss. So Adam, what's your view of the landscape right now? So it recovered from 3,000 to now it's 5,000. But what's the kind of trend? What are the applications that you think that this year that can actually bring value to the blockchain society?
Hey guys. So I think one trend we're definitely seeing. So Bitsdaq's an exchange based out of Hong Kong, and we're mainly focused right now on doing crypto to crypto. But a big trend we're noticing is that in the 8 weeks that we've been around, we have about 2 million users, and we're seeing a really big influx from Turkey and Russia and countries that don't have, say, a strong currency or kind of want to get a fiat on-ramp. We don't offer that right now, but we're seeing lots of countries with less stable currency. So I believe that as there's more buying power and more ways to get from local currencies into Bitcoin, that will raise the price over time. So the biggest hurdle now is just getting local currency into Bitcoin.
What's the view?
Okay. I'm the co-founder of the Elastos. Elastos special project, not as a normal blockchain, because it's originated from maybe 20 years ago from the Microsoft ex-engineer Rongchen, because his idea is our future operating system must be based on the internet. Not just based a single PC. Windows even now just based a single PC. But if the operating system just based a single PC, the access to internet must be achieved by every app themselves. The problem is every app will be very easy to become a virus. So the DDoS attack is very easy, very low threshold. So that's the result is our internet is centralized now, because we just can trust some huge internet company, some huge website, for example, the Facebook or Alibaba or Tencent. So such huge internet company can control our every customer's data and got profit from it, but we lost our right of data. So it's single PC's operating problems results. So 20 years ago, Rongchen have an idea. So he believed our future operating system must be based on the internet. It must be decentralized one. So now Elastos during 20 years to hope to achieve such goal. But now, just at the very important of the blockchain, the Elastos meets the blockchain, so he can solve the problem about in the future the DApp, decentralized apps, must use such operating system, because if we just have blockchain, the app, decentralized app, can't run it. The Ethereum has the idea, they are the global computer. That's true. They can say they are a global computer, but it's the slowest computer. It's efficientless computer, so that can't run the true apps on it. For example, in the last year, there is a Kitty game run on the Ethereum. Very easy to jam and stop it, because the blockchain is a very weak computation system. So if we really hope to have a period of DApp, decentralized app, we must use the new internet. We must have peer-to-peer infrastructure. Can't be stopped by the some kind of firewall You know what is the DAPP? DAPP means no one control it, no one centralize it, no one stop it. So, and first, we must have the new internet. We need a new carrier. We must have peer-to-peer network, and can't be stopped by the firewall like the Chinese Great Wall. Yeah, that kind of thing. So then we must have a trusted computation environment. Maybe 2 years later, I will go to DC to discuss with the World Bank. They also need a trust computation environment because they hope to compute all the third world medical big data. But it must use many nodes to compute it, to run it. But it must be trusted. Yeah.
You know, many people like look at
your phone. Not often. Yeah.
many people look at the U.S. and China, and they view like in China we tend to focus a lot on the price. We have like Vitalik, like in Ethereum. He's not American; he's a Canadian, but he's from North America, so it's very similar to the U.S. I guess. Many people view Canada as the 51st state of the U.S., right? So, but you look at Justin Sun, who is the founder of Tron. They have very different style. All like Justin Sun is like, I want to make money and I want the price going up and up, right? So kind of while Vitalik, whenever he goes, he talk about technology. So, Adam, what's your view? Like, between China-based kind of projects and US-based projects, and what are the kind of contrasts and what are the complementarities between these, two countries in terms of blockchain projects?
Yeah. So in Asia right now, especially, we're seeing there's a lot more development happening, I believe, out there than there is in North America. There's obviously companies like Consensus out of Brooklyn that are, building amazing stuff with Joe Lubin. We have Jax in Toronto that we're working really hard on. But regarding projects, we're seeing a huge trend right now coming in off, no more ICOs that were happening in 2017 and 2018. And we're seeing a new influx of the IEO, which is an initial exchange offering. So essentially what that is you're raising money, but it has a solid custodian like a Bittrex or a Binance that your cryptocurrency is safe. And you also know where your liquidity is going to come from. So instead of investing in an ICO and then hoping it's going to get listed with a liquidity provider, but you never really know and you're just speculating, you know which exchange, like Bittrex just did Veriblock, I think last week. They raised $7 million in 10 seconds. And everyone who invested in that IEO will know that that coin will be trading on Bittrex within the time frame that they discussed. So I think it's 72 hours. So we're seeing lots of requests on my exchange right now in Hong Kong to IEO on our platform. Lots of companies that are well-funded that want to get their name out there, and they also want to use their own blockchain. So they're building their own blockchains versus the ICO craze that was happening on Ethereum. But I think that's going to be a really big thing in 2019 is the IEO. Yeah.
What do you think? What's the most recent developments in Asia and US? I think the trend now where it's hot.
Yes, by my feeling, in America, more people talk about the technology. So I often meet here more the genius of the technology. But in China, more person talk about the price. Yeah, the value is speculation. Certainly, because especially in China, because many persons have no opportunity to exchange the like stock, like the other some other kind of things to catch the future. Yeah, they have not enough the finance market. So in China, the only catch future tools is real estate. Yeah, our house is our stock to exchange. Yeah, to catch future. So that's very poor. But many persons hope to join the catch futures for wealthy world, like some book, the Poor Daddy and Rich Daddy. Yeah, that's very famous also in China. So I believe, so in China, the more market, more the cryptocurrency market.
Yeah.
But in America, more technology. So we hope if both of them can cooperate each other, it's a perfect blockchain future.
Yeah.
Very good. Another thing is like here, most people knows about Bitcoins, blockchains, but I started teaching blockchain in China back in 2011. Like even at the Cheung Kong Graduate School of Business, one of the leading business school in China, many people don't really own a wallet or have a cryptocurrency. There's some survey that like in China, can less than like 2% of people have a wallet. So this is in contrast with like in the internet area, like in the first like 5 years of the internet, like almost more than 50% people have emails. But now blockchain has been around for like 10 years, and you only have like 2%, less than 2% of the population has a wallet. So what's the obstacle that we can have more people like own cryptocurrency or have a wallet so that it's easy for them to use? And because without a wallet, without like a dApp, and you have lots of applications like in Tron, in Ethereum, in EOS, but the daily activities like a few hundred, or the best ones like a few thousand, they cannot compare with like internet. Like in the internet in China, you have a kind of 100 million users, and it's like nothing, right? You look at WeChat, we have like more than 1 billion users. If like one day we have a wallet, we have 1 billion users, then of course I think the blockchain will be successful. Right? So what's the view? How do we break that bottleneck?
Well, one thing that we're trying to do right now is I launched a company about 10 weeks ago. It's called spend.com. We try to use the name spend because it's like a pretty simple, catchy name, and we think we can get out to the masses. So what that does is we have our own debit card where you can spend cryptocurrency anywhere. It takes Visa. You can go to any ATM with about 16 different cryptocurrencies and pull out cash. You could trade different fiat currencies in the app, so like yen to Canadian dollar, US dollar to euro. It's good for travelers also, but essentially that's an app, it's a digital wallet, and it links to a card that you have. We give rewards back in our own cryptocurrency, kind of like an Amex point, and we're trying to bridge the gap between the cryptocurrency and the regular world to how to actually make a use case for it. So this is great because if you want to usually withdraw Bitcoin to US dollars, there's a bit of an obstacle to overcome. It's like take out $1,000 with this kind of fee or this, and you have to liquidate usually a larger amount to make it make sense for you. You aren't going to pull out $20 and pay a $5 fee. So this allows you just to spend the cryptocurrency you have on a daily basis to buy coffee or just to pull out currency. Yeah. So we're hoping with that we'll bridge a bit of the two worlds.
Great.
Yeah.
Dr. Han, so in China, the government has kind of really cracked down on some of these like cryptocurrency. There's some good reasons because many projects in China are essentially Ponzi schemes. So they don't do anything. They just issue a cryptocurrency and they promise you like huge price increase. And they have the new users pay for the old users. And then eventually after 3 months, and then the project will just kind of dissolve. And they start a new project. And then this whole process start again. But what's your view of that? Like it's been in China, kind of been abused and misused, and it has a bad name. Like and people, when we talk about blockchain or cryptocurrency in China, they think you're just kind of doing a scam or something, right? Just no technology and no. That's what's one project raised like 100 million RMB with nothing, just not even white paper. Just trust me, okay? Give me the money. Then a month later, it kind of disappeared. So. What do you think of that? How do we avoid that kind of projects?
Sure. In 2017, I meet many many project blockchain, like you said. It's their white paper just after their coffee talk. Yeah, then write a white paper and issued some coin. On the Ethereum. So in China, we have some words about the Bitcoin is use application is to draw money. 洗钱怎么说？
Laundry.
Laundry money. Yeah. Ethereum is cheating money. Yeah. EOS is date money. Debit 赌博。
Oh, gambling. Yeah.
Gambling money. Yes. So we hope in the future we have a project to let person earn money. Yeah. I know such the project is just cheating, but at the same time, I read a book about Wall Street, the Wall Street history. Its name is Great Gamble, maybe, some kind. But when I read the book, I was astonished because in the earlier period of the Wall Street, they are cheating more. They're even cheating. They cooperate with the president and cheating all the world. So I believe it's a natural thing in the early finance market because the blockchain industry is too young, too simple. Yeah. So.
I think it's definitely also happening with the raise. I mean, we did an ICO last year and we raised 40 million US, and that was kind of when things were starting to go down. And we're definitely getting pressure, and we're doing it, but we're definitely getting pressure from investors as to why they're giving this money. What are you doing with it? So we have use cases. We used our platform to crowdfund a resort in the Philippines, which is pretty much like a tokenized timeshare almost. So they give you X amount of money for a token that will be used back in the resort when it's built. So that's under construction right now. But lots of projects that ICO'd around our time aren't around anymore. And investors are wondering what happened to the money. So I think that's also important why the IEO phase will be great, because it's pretty much going to be endorsed by the exchange that's supporting it. And Bittrex recently had an IEO that got canceled because there was some disagreement with RAID. So they had to cancel that and they launched Veriblock. But it's a very competitive process and very hard to get into because the exchange wants to vet you and doesn't want to tie their name to a scam project. So I think it gives people more confidence to invest, knowing that someone like Binance or Bittrex has done the vetting process and they say, we support this project, it's great, and then you can feel better putting your money in there. So, yeah.
So I believe the investor need to learn, need to study. Yeah. Maybe the last method is like America. Why America, most of the investment, the decision made by the foundation in Wall Street, because the normal investor can't realize the true value and true risk. Yeah. So follow maybe 200 years we used to make some foundation, form the foundation to solve the problem. Maybe it's one way in the future. But the second, I believe the government need to do something. But not like the Chinese government did. They just stop it, forbid it. Yeah. It is not the method. We need some their responsibility to rule such thing.
Yeah. Just follow up on your
regulate.
Yeah, on the rule of government. There are two views in the blockchain community. Jeff Warnick, his view is very libertarian. He feels that it's why he loves blockchain, the Bitcoin is a way to freedom. That the government can play a very limited role here, and then you can do whatever you want. But if you look at history, the government plays an important role, and sometimes they do bad things, but sometimes they can also do good things. Our view is slightly different from that libertarian view. That we feel that we want to work with the compliance, we want to have KYC, but it still be decentralized, so people still have much bigger role to play than a centralized kind of system. So what's the view of the compliance and with the SEC, like how the government regulations can help or may like hinder the development of blockchain? So right here, your view. No.
Yeah, well, I think coming from traditional markets, obviously, what trades on a daily basis in the blockchain and the crypto world is minimal compared to like the FX market. That's about 5 trillion a day, or other large markets, the futures markets, the oil markets. It's a very, very tiny market, and a big part of that is because there's lack of regulation, which can't allow real money to come in. It's a lot of retail and smaller funds versus like pension plans and endowment funds or people that want to hedge X amount of their investment into a new asset class. So it's going to be impossible for them to do that without having more defined regulation. So when that comes in, I went to speak with the SEC recently, the CFTC down in DC, and they're definitely trying to figure something out. I have a company called Hyperion also in New York. I'm on the board of it, which we have ATS to trade securities. And that's going to be a big wave in 2020. So we've also acquired one for Bitsdaq, and there's been a few other players like T0, like Hyperion, like I said, where people are spinning up security tokens, and they'll be trading on that soon. So I think on the exchange side, I think government has to be involved, and there's amounts of money being moved, and there's taxes to be involved, especially when they give so much back with the taxes per se, like roads and whatever that looks like. I mean, everything can't be a free-for-all. But that being said, whatever's in the exchange, I think projects can be decentralized and tokens can have different values, but an entity like an exchange that's moving mass amounts of money with people that could be doing money laundering, so we need KYC and AML, which we do, the same standard as Bittrex, but there has to be regulation around money like that moving. I think that the things that are inside the ecosystem, that can be different, and there are some coins out right now that are fully decentralized, that don't need per se a governance, but I think when money gets moved and there's capital gains, it has to be watched out for.
I agree with you. Dr. Han, what's your view? Like, in China, the capital flow is restricted. Everybody have a limit of $50,000 a year. So some applications for Chinese that if you want to buy an apartment in Manhattan, you can get money out. So what you do is like you buy some Bitcoins and then come here, you sell it on Coinbase and get money and you pay for your apartment. And the Chinese are really against that because they want to make sure like the law is followed. So Dr. Han, what's your view of like the compliance issue in China where it's been used to avoid capital flow restrictions in China so that people can move money from RMB out using Bitcoins to overseas to buy properties or just diversify their assets? What's your view of that? So
I believe it's welcome. It's certainly it's natural way to help the capital flow all around the world. I believe the cryptocurrency, especially for Bitcoin, is responsibility to help the global market. One of them is made more flow of the money all around the world, not just in China. Because in China, if I pay some money peer-to-peer, it's very easy because by WeChat, or Alipay, very easy. But in America, I can't believe it. If I hope to change some money from one person to another person, I will go to 3 banks, and even some machine. I did such thing. I exchange my money. I will fill some table, and told him my name, my background, my future use of the money. Terrible purpose. And when after half year, then the machine told us, "Oh, you are failed." I don't know why. I don't know the reason. I wasted half hour, so I can't believe it. So when I meet Morgan Stanley's chief economist, what is his name? He told me, he believes the Bitcoin can be used to exchange money. I can't believe so because in China it's very easy to do. But in America, I can understand why some person believe Bitcoin can exchange money. That's true. I believe it's an application. So in the future, I think it's for a long period of time. The digital cryptocurrency, digital currency will be used to store the value and add and help the flow of the capital all around the world. Certainly, yeah.
Very good.
Good.
Oh, okay. Bitmain is like one of the major players in like mining. It's sold everywhere.
Yeah.
Last year they tried to get listed in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and it was denied. One reason is because during that time period,
yes.
their like sales dropped significantly. They have like cash problems, and they also try to transit into artificial intelligence. They change their strategy. So I think with the blockchain in the future, it's right now it's the number of accounts are very small, like about 30 million. But let's say it reaches to the internet kind of age, that we have 5 billion users in the blockchain, and all of them have transactions with each other. It will be 5 billion square. 5 billion square is like 25. I don't even have a name for that. Like billion square, right? It's like a huge number anyway. But I don't think that the current statistics can handle this kind of data, and we need artificial intelligence. That's why Bitmain wants to get into artificial intelligence. They try to use change their chips into AI chips, and will be able to in the future handle such a large number of data of transactions among the blockchain users. So what's your view of that? How the blockchain is going to connect with artificial intelligence, with big data, with the Internet of Things? And I would like to hear you.
For sure. So I think that even right now, as blockchain, as we develop it more and AI gets more advanced, they're going to come together mainly to process the data. What we do also on our exchange is something similar to that. So we have mass amounts of data on Bitsdaq. Even though it's new, we have the same order books as Bittrex and Upbit, and we're tapping into the same liquidity pool. And we have a few other liquidity providers that are coming online, like invest.com in Europe, where if you're selling Bitcoin on invest.com, you're selling it on Invest, someone's buying it in Upbit, it's going to be in the same order book and the same stack. And what we do out of that is we have millions of pieces of data that we take from all the exchanges, and we've actually built a whole quant fund strategy on top of that data that trades back and forth on a high frequency trading, this Bitcoin to US dollar. So, and our fund did over 80% last year on those trades. While Bitcoin went down, we did about 80%. And that's purely off the data that we get from these exchanges, just watching the movements. And it's mostly just based on mathematics. So we use AI to compress all of the data that we get from these exchanges to shoot out a strategy about how we trade. So I think that's how we do it, at least. Yeah.
Dr. Han, you have a lab at MIT and
Yeah.
fintech, and I guess artificial intelligence probably is also part of your topic. So what's your view of that? Like how do you combine these different areas of big data, AI?
Yeah, we hope to combine the quantum mechanics with the blockchain, because I studied the quantum mechanics in the Tsinghua University for 20 years. Why so long? Because I can't understand it. And first, because when I entered the Tsinghua 20 years ago, I'm the doctor candidate, but I can't understand quantum mechanics. What is it? Well, yeah. So even now I do not finish my doctor degree application. I do not achieve it. But after the 20 years study, at last I understand it. I know, in the simple, the quantum mechanics world is very different from the Newton's worldview. Why? The Newton tell us every atom has the location, place in the world, and then they have certainty orbit. So Newton mechanics told us, oh, we have a Laplace demon. Such demon, if such demon know every atom's original spot, original speed, we can use the Newton's equation. We can calculate all the future of our universe. So it's certainly causality. But it's not true. We can't have such Laplace demon. We can't have such a God to know all of our future state. So what is quantum mechanics? Quantum mechanics, we have both the visible world and the invisible world. Because quantum mechanics believe our world is holistic, wholeness. We just watch the part of them. So it's randomness because we can't. Our measure is limited by our space and time. So we always have random results. So it's very different. So when I understand quantum mechanics, I believe the universe is a whole one. We can't just use the divided them, just use reductionist, just use some logic analyze to think about the world. We must feel it is a wholeness. Yeah, it's a holistic one. So that's true for the finance market. For example, the Soros. Soros have a quantum foundation. And first, I think, oh, he is cheating. He can't understand quantum mechanics because my major is quantum mechanics. I learned it 20 years. He just from the economic major. He can't believe. But when I read his paper, I believe he understands most of them. Because he believes in the finance market is not as a traditional economist that Soros can't believe we have the true value of every stock. True object value. Yeah, traditional economists believe that one. So they always think, oh, the finance market just go around the true price is not true. Yeah. So Soros believes the reflexity. Yeah, they believe uncertainty. Because, for example, the sentence, I love you. I love you, is it true? No. Because if you speak to some boy, speak to some girl, I love you, maybe he performs a little love. If the girl love him also, yeah, the girl feel very happy and excited. Oh, such love will grow up rapidly. Yeah, like finance market. Its influence, it's entangled world. It's a wholeness. But if the girl very calm and no feeling, so such I love you will drop down. Yeah, like the bear market. Yeah, in the finance market.
We are a little bit out of time, so
yeah.
Just,
so if we have the quantum mechanics, we have a new word.
I think I love you means I love you. It's like a quantum question. So
sure.
50% you're right. So like about quantum mechanics, it's like we have a say Schrodinger's cat, right? 50% of the time it's dead. 50% of it's like alive. We don't know. So without hands, like half of the time he understands about quantum mechanics.
Last sentence. Now I have a team. I have a team in MIT to write a book. The arrow of the quantum wealth. Okay. Sure.
But one thing is like in the future when I have quantum computers, how that's going to affect blockchain. I think that would be very interesting. That maybe many of you we have to move on to the new kind of quantum resistant cryptography. But that's kind of more complicated. But anyway, we probably don't have time to get into that. It's very complicated because I guess half of the people don't understand quantum mechanics. Half the people don't understand it, and sometimes they don't understand either. So it's very complicated. But let's get back to blockchain.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the same.
So, there's like one big applications now with MIT. Now they issue their certificates on the blockchain. I feel that many of like the copyrights, medical records, transaction records can have lots of use in the blockchain. I know you have done something in this area. So what do you think of real estate? Real estate, people most of people actually their life savings used to buy an apartment or a house, and real estate transactions is huge in the United States, and also a big chunk of wealth in China. Like in China, if you own an apartment or a house, you are have advantage in the marriage market, right? So that's why Chinese very expensive houses, because if you want to find a girlfriend, you don't have an apartment, it's very hard in China. So people actually wrote papers on that, why Chinese real estate is so expensive. So what do you think of doing the real estate transactions on blockchain? Then we can reduce transaction costs significantly. In the US, the intermediation fee is about 7%. In China, it's much less, like 2 to 3%. So if we use blockchain, the broker dealers on blockchain, on the records or moved, or real estate transactions all moved on the blockchain, how will that affect the intermediation cost in the real estate market?
Yeah, so what we're doing right now on the real estate front on tokenizing is there's a model that came out a few years ago, which is a pretty basic model of just crowdfunding and people pooling together money to become different LPs in a GP structure of owning a property. And it's a really big headache. It's a high barrier to entry to get into that in the first place, but also it's very messy to try and liquidate and dilute, and you could be stuck in that investment for a long time. So I think just on the basic premise of to diversify, what you invest in and to get involved in the real estate market, lots of people want to do it, and it's like I said, it's a big hurdle to get into that. So we're doing a deal right now with I can't say which company, but in Europe it will come out soon. But we're selling off their real estate as a security token on our cryptocurrency exchange, and it will pretty much fragment to however many holders invest. So it could be 100 or 1,000 owners. They'll get the proportionate share of what they invest as a token, and there'll be a secondary market almost immediately. So if you end up investing in a property that we have that's maybe in a cooler area like Brooklyn 10 years ago or something like that, and you see a big price add, a value add over time, then you could sell your token on the secondary market to reflect how real estate's gone up in that area. So we think that's a way to do it. Right now it's 100, 200, $300 million properties that are being sold, and it's generally by a pension fund or by 1 or 2 people doing a JV to get into that asset, and they're leasing it out for office space and retail. So we're seeing shifts into not to pivot, but something similar. We have a few co-working spaces in Hong Kong and Singapore called Bitwork and BitTemple, and we're seeing lots of these companies that are co-working. They're paying rent, but they would rather have some kind of investment where it can be a co-living, co-working place. So obviously there's WeWork and WeLive and Rise by We and all these things happening globally. I mean, they lease over 1 million square feet a month. I think they're the largest real estate company now in the world. They have more office space in New York than JP Morgan, but that kind of model, it's still a leasing model where you're leasing and you're hoping that you're going to have secondary tenants leasing from you to make money. But at the same time, if the market crashes, you have no asset. You've just sunk money into tenant improvements. And if for some reason the economy in New York shifts and people are going to India to work, then as a company like WeWork, you've invested millions of dollars to build out spaces that now you can't lease. So I think we're seeing a shift. So people want to, it doesn't need to be a token per se, but we're seeing that happen right now where you can invest, you can actually co-own this place, and companies will invest to co-own where they can put their employees there. And if that doesn't work for them down the road, they can sell their stake to somebody else, and it will all happen on the blockchain right now. So that's what we're trying to do.
Great.
Yeah.
My point of view of blockchain is half of the time you understand it, so half of the time you don't understand. So that's like 50-50. We only have 2 more minutes left, and I would like to take this time to thank the panelists and also open the floor for questions. So you have any questions, even if you want to understand about quantum mechanics, you can ask our panelists. Yeah.
So part of me doesn't really see the use case for blockchain in China since everything's centralized anyway. But like you were saying with WeChat, if you have a centralized bank and everyone uses a centralized application, and I don't know whether people trust it or not entirely, they trust it enough that they're not going to be using anything else. So why would people shift to decentralized applications?
That's a very good question.